Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about one of the first two steps in the Change Your Mindset section of the course. And why we start with our mindset is we want to start with the internal self. We want to start with the things that affect us internally, because once we begin to understand and begin to discipline and begin to put under submission our internal self, that's our mind, our will, and our emotions, we are able to branch out to the external, to our physical selves, and to the world around us much easier. Because if you don't first deal with your internal self and begin to get healthy internally, then any external factor is just going to be either momentarily fixed, because you'll feel good for a minute, everything's going great, but the second you hit a wall or have something come up, an obstacle, you'll go right back to where you were, because you weren't internally built up in order to handle the obstacles that may come in your way. But today we're going to start focusing on how to change our mind, or how to change our mindset, how to develop strength of mind, strength of will, strength of character, so that we can be carried through the next two phases, which is the physical, or your body, and the world around you. So today we're going to start with the first two things. The first one is face the darkness. And what that means is, when you face the darkness, y'all can't see that at all. What about now? Can y'all see that? Yeah, face the darkness. All right, so face the darkness. What that means is, today you're going to confront what scares you. There's a story that's part of the whole mythos of King Arthur that I really enjoy, and it's when Merlin is telling the Knights of the Round Table how to begin their journey to search for the Holy Grail. He tells them that the journey begins at the darkest part of the forest. So what that means is that each knight has to go and find the darkest part of the forest for themselves, and that's where the journey to the Holy Grail, or to the greatest thing they can achieve. The Holy Grail, it represents everything you want, everything you dream, the person you want to be, the goals that you want to achieve. The Holy Grail of it all is found, the journey is found, or the beginning of the journey is found at the darkest part of the forest. So today, what you're going to do is, you're going to focus on the darkest part of yourself, the parts of yourself that you don't want anybody to know about, that you try to never think about, that you try to never look at, that you try to act like they don't exist. So the darkest part of my forest were a couple things. Number one, first was I can't spell, was depression. So I struggled with depression, and have struggled with depression for a long time. And that depression came from when I was younger. I had gone through some sexual abuse and some other hard things when I was a young boy, that just bred some darkness inside of me. And a lot of it came out in depression. So when I began my journey, I had to dive deep into that darkness of how those things affected me, what limiting beliefs and wrong beliefs they had taught me, and how I could then change them. Another one I had to deal with was addiction. Addiction. So addiction, and I think it stems from the same thing with the depression, is that I have a very addictive personality, where I can get addicted to things very easily, because for a long time I was trying to self-medicate to numb the feelings that I was, the dark feelings that I didn't want to confront. I was trying to numb them with whatever I could find. Alcohol, pills, pornography, whatever it may be. If there was an addiction, I tried it, because I tried to use it to numb the pain. So when you begin to face the darkness, you'll look into the deepest, darkest parts of your own soul, and you'll begin to try to find the points along your, the timeline of your life, of how or what happened to cause these pains, to cause these fears. So because of this, I begin to develop you have your core beliefs. And your core beliefs are the unconscious, not unconscious, but the subconscious beliefs that you have that you equate to the reality around you. That means that no matter how true they are, you equate these core beliefs to reality around you, meaning that these are how you subconsciously view everything in your life. You run them through this lens. And one of the core beliefs that I had was that I had to be perfect to be loved. When I was younger, I was part of a program and had a mentor that at the beginning, told me all the things that any boy would want to hear, that you are a great man, you're going to do great things, all these sort of things. And then when inevitably, as all 12-year-old boys do, I did stupid stuff. And a lot of them were wrong. I mean, like I was wrong. I was in the wrong, did wrong, I did bad. But because when those things happened, how he treated me it made me seem that if I don't do good, or if I'm not perfect, then I'm not worthy of the same love that I would receive, or the same care that I would receive, or the same I don't know, energy, however you want to characterize it, I would receive, is when I was doing everything right. And so it would change how I thought that I had to be. So I had to be perceived as perfect in order to be loved by anybody. So then when I would do anything bad, it would send me on this spiral, because I would begin to be depressed because I can't be loved if I'm not perfect. And then that would spiral into addictive tendencies, because then I would try to self-medicate and numb myself. And, I thought, well, if I'm bad anyways, what's the point? Why try to be good if I'm bad? And if you're a Star Wars fan out there, I also like to equate it, if you've seen all of them like I have, in Anakin's story, he always seemed like he was meant for the dark side, but he was trying to stay in the light. And then there's Kylo Ren, who is Anakin's grandson, and it always seems like he is meant to be in the light, but he is fighting himself to stay in the dark. Well, I always felt like I was meant to be in the darkness, and I had to try to fight myself to stay in the light. And it wasn't until I realized and I confronted the darkest parts of myself that I began to see that those things are not who I am. Like I said, those core beliefs that you hold, those negative core beliefs, those unhealthy core beliefs, whatever they be, they're very limiting. So like, I have to be perfect to be loved. Well, I can't be perfect, because nobody is perfect. These videos I make aren't perfect. Everything I say is not perfect. Every human that's ever lived outside of Jesus was not perfect. And so if I had to be perfect to be loved, then I can't be loved. So then it sends you on this spiral. Then that's a core belief I had to change. And I changed it by confronting the darkness with the truth. And the Bible talks about how the truth is light. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the light of the world. So when you can equate light to truth, what you're finding is these dark places are not truth. We hold them in the darkness because we believe them to be true. But when we shine the light on them, we find that they are not true, and that they are actually the opposite of reality. Even though they're real, the feelings are real, they're not reality. I'll say that a lot because it's been said to me a lot. Just because you feel something, those feelings are real. So you don't deny that you feel them, because that's not good, that's not healthy. But you have to face the facts that just because you feel something doesn't make it reality. Just because I feel that I have to be perfect to be loved doesn't make it reality. And as a matter of fact, it's not. It's not reality at all. Case in point, Jesus loves me regardless of whether I do right or wrong. Now, there's a whole point of salvation, but that's not about this. But Jesus, it says in the Bible, no hell, heaven, nothing on this world, no power, no angel, no demon, no anything can separate us from the love of God. So you don't have to be perfect to be loved. So it took me a long time to be able to begin to break those. And that's why we start here, because it's the hardest thing, is breaking those limiting core beliefs. So I want you right now to go and write down, I want you to have a journal, because I have it's easy. Number one, because you write this down, you remember it. Because if you try to remember all this information, it's a lot. And when things get hard, it's good to have something to go back to where you can look at when you were in a good place, when you were in your right mind, when you were, in alignment with everything. And you go, okay, no, I remember this. And it helps you remember things when you're emotionally compromised and can't. So I want you to write down, go through, go, and you might want to find some place you can go where you can allow yourself to be emotionally raw. If it's your closet, or if you like to go on a drive, or if you have a favorite like spot by the lake, somewhere where you feel comfortable with yourself and comfortable to really, I mean really look internally at all the things that's ever happened to you, all the things that's ever done, the things that you never want to see the light of day again. So you're going to go to the darkest part of your forest, because the journey to the Holy Grail, the journey starts at the darkest part of your forest. So I want you to go today, find that, write it down, and then when we come into our next group and on the next part of the course, it's going to come into play. So I want you to go write those down and keep those in mind, because it's going to be important for the next section.